I see Tri-Brigade is back. Oh man, that is so cool to see. The Bysteel piles are evolving with Thunder Dragons and Centurions and friends, along with some other interesting meta. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. What was the greatest innovation to, needing to get all of these terrible wing beast and friends into the graveyard? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's called the King's Sarcophagus because, you can call out Hoppy, some Imseti, and some Blessing of Horus. But I also want to point out here, this is a beast, and this is technically also a beast warrior, which means you inherently have reverse synergy with this pile. I do not highly recommend that you start banishing Hobby and, Blessing here off of those particular cards, but you know what? It's the built-in synergy that you get with the pile here. I also see that we're playing 2 copies of the Tri-Brigade Roar in here. If you control a Link monster, send a Tri-Brigade from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, target an effect monster, and apply the following. Alright, based on the type of card. So if you do monster, its attack goes to 0, a spell negate that monster effects, trap, return that monster to the hand. And I mean, that's free as long as you have a Link monster. You just have to send something with Tri-Brigades. Technically, it can mill Roar, and you can also send any of the monsters. So there's going to be the only real 2 things I feel like we're going to be kind of getting out of this. Which, okay, I'll take my option trees for this. But this is cool to see. This is the kind of things that I want to see more people explore more of the abilities of these random pile decks that, well, excuse me, I can't call this a random pile. The ideas of, hey, I can mix X engine with this, and this can actually top. It's that little flavor that really brings the meta to a new place. Next up here, this is, I mentioned the Bysteel, and I mentioned Thunder Dragons. But this build is going as far as actually playing rockets in it as you're doing. This is Dragon Link with a functioning Thunder package, and we've seen the synergy with these engines before. It's not like this is something incredibly new, but it does pique my interest when you start to see the rocket combo lines going off, and suddenly at the end of a combo you see Thunder Dragon Titan spawn. Suddenly things are now in a more interesting place because now they also have an interruption to pop something, and that's something kind of interesting. Also, Mr. Titan here, the oldest clause in the world is, the banish 2 to protect this thing is actually really, really stupid. Alright, and trust me, in the current era, unless your opponent actually negates this Titan might be sticking around for a little while. Also, a Titan standing next to a Dissipator might actually be a really threatening board for some decks. Also, let's call it what it is. I mean, you've also got access to everybody's favorite little big ghetto boss monster over here as well. I like the idea of being able to use all the Thunder Dragon stuff to go ahead and toggle through and try to make this build something more consistent than we were actually initially having. And once again, more ideas, more creativity can kind of lead to some of this stuff. I really wish we could have solved what the side deck was for this. I would like to know what they were boarding in and optimizing for better ratios, but unfortunately they didn't share that. So I think that would have given some pretty big insight to this deck. Next up here, we have Centurion. Stand up! Well, you look at these Centurion decks, and Bonfire. I'm waiting for the day that we get Bonfire because it just consistently makes Trudea an absolute monster. Please, Konami, can you print this any faster and get this out here? The biggest things for this list that honestly catch me off guard are just 2 copies of the Fenrir. Typically, if you're bumping Fenrir up to 3, you want to make sure that you can see it. Also, I mean, free Fenrir special into a Fenrir It's not like, well, I mean, to be fair, if this deck is, needing an extra turn to try to do something, it falls apart. That's the biggest problem. So I guess I can get behind the 2 Fenrir with that logic. Also do keep in mind that most builds are playing 8 bonds, but you will see occasionally that the Phalanx will show up as a tech choice. And please do note that you have another deck out here that is relying on Crossout Designator. This deck just falls apart to the slightest breath of a Droll and not Droll, but like a well-timed Ash. We always mention Ogre out here as a card that can, destroy this deck. I mean, this deck isn't playing Ogre, but it's those hand traps that inconvenience you, that can ruin your day, that this deck is going to have a massive problem with. Also love the fact this deck is playing Super Polys. Also, none of the TCG builds have tried the Maximus package. I don't know if players just don't really consider it to be an optimized way to go about the deck, but most of the builds, I think, they've got this down. Also, only 2 Legatia for this. You're making room in here for the Super Poly targets. You do see the Desires for the draw power. And then 1 little cute Pot of Prosperity to kind of sauce things up a little bit here. And, of course, hey, we have Fire Kings. All jokes aside out here, for these Fire King builds, players are trying to find the most optimal ways to approach the deck at this point in time, because once again, until we get Poppius, it's got a lot to be desired. I'm gonna be honest with you. You do see your Diabell Star package playing 1 of these, which is perfectly fine. I also see that we're playing 1 Rainbally. Okay, that's not really something I see a lot of. They're also maximizing on triple copies of the Fire King Sanctuary. I think this is fine. A lot of builds are going towards the 2-2 split, and if you're trying to do like the more optimized builds, you go ahead and amputate a Fire King Sanctuary from the deck, and you're good to go. It comes down to, do I want to play 40 versus 41? Do I want to maximize on these? They're also on double the Bureau. I'm also intrigued by people playing Flamberge Dragon right now. A lot of players have said the Flamberge Dragon is absolute garbage at this point in time, and they would rather have something else in the deck. So the fact, the Flamberge is already seeing play pre-Poppius, I think is actually kind of cool, but I think it's more of an acquired taste at this point. You got a solid month until Bonfire comes out and we start to see this deck get its consistency upgrades, but once that happens, I think this deck is going to turn into an absolute monster. Do take note, there was a extra side deck card. I mean, you can toss in another Phantasme if you are really wanting the extra space, or maybe something. The extra deck you have utility asset room for. You just got to decide on, hey, is this going to be the more optimal choice versus, what we've already got presented to us here. Also, we're opting for anti-spells here instead of, skill drains. Either piece of the puzzle is going to blow your opponent out and put you in a good position. And, of course, this was really cool to see. This is a Runic deck sporting off the Horus stuff. So, cool little fun facts about this. This little package right here is infinite discard fodder, baby. You can dump every one of these terrible cards out of your deck, and you can start getting some massive draw regeneration off of this. We also play the 1 copy of Metal Foes Fusion. I don't know how I feel about this. This is a cool little idea in theory, but I can tell you how many times I'd brick on this. I also see we're on a 3-card spellbook package in here. You're playing the 1 spellbook Magician of Prophecy, 1 Secrets, and you're playing 1 copy of Knowledge. So that's kind of cool, I guess. Like, you're trying to supplement as much draw power as you can with this build. And, honestly, you're also trying to deck thin as much as you can. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, you want to snowball up all of this stuff so that you can start taking advantage of the situation and blow your opponent out of the water. Also, let's not forget, free draw power, free recursion, free spot removal, and he just does things. Like, that's what protection does. Just does things. Also maximizing on the triple vision resonators here as well, so free little special summon as long as you get him set up and running. Yeah, free. So what do you guys think about these interesting decks today. Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.